Welcome back to another My Hero Academia video. In this video, we'll be breaking down Season 7 Episode 11, which is titled Light Fades to Rain, sharing the same title as Chapter 362. I'm sorry I couldn't make a video for the last episode. I actually recorded the video, but by the time I started editing, it was already too late. Also, my college starts next week, so I can't promise to be very regular, but I'll try to do it for most of the episodes. Last episode, Endeavor just went off. He took a look at his past and overcame it, ripped off his arm and even roasted All For One. But All For One definitely had something up his sleeve and he is about to use Eri's quirk. We also got to see how Bakugo got so beat up by Shigaraki and he plans to make him suffer more so he could agitate Midoriya when he arrives here. Now, episode 11 begins with Aizawa seeing Shigaraki walking towards Bakugo and he's really worried about him. He shouts that Edgeshot, Mirko and Best Jeanist have to protect Bakugo as he's aiming to be the #1 hero and will graduate from US someday. This is why I like Aizawa. He cares a lot about his students and he can't just see one of them die in front of him. Tamaki emerges from the rubble and in an added shot, he sees Yue destroyed and tells that he wanted to have a proper graduation ceremony, and Mirio comes out from underneath the coffin and tells Tamaki that once the battle is over, they'll have Principal Nezu throw one for them. Tamaki responds asking if they even stand a chance and Mirio states if nothing else until Deku arrives they will protect everyone with their triple threat power as Yue's big three get ready to take on Shigaraki. Switching over to Bakugo, he falls to the ground as Shigaraki puts his foot on Bakugo's head. Shigaraki says that Deku is bound to show up and that his quirks being erased was a blessing in disguise. Bakugo still tries to attack Shigaraki with his Strafpanzer, but Shigaraki picks Bakugo up with his foot, destroying his last remaining gauntlet and grabs him by the neck as his Panzer fires off over Shigaraki's head. Shigaraki tells Bakugo that because of his quirks being erased, he won't turn into dust and his dead body would remain intact. He remembers back during the PLF war when Deku raged because of Bakugo being stabbed and wants to leave Bakugo's body as a present so he can rage again, thus making him more sloppy during the fight. Here the anime doesn't adapt the entire page of panels showing a visualization of Shigaraki's hands and fingers covering and breaking Bakugo's entire body. This what if visualization was pretty graphic, so most likely it wasn't included in the anime for censorship reasons and was replaced with just showing Shigaraki talking down to Bakugo. Also, we have to give some props to Nejire this episode. She actually did the fighting for long. Nejire fires off her Nejire wave at Shigaraki but has to quickly change the direction of the wave in order to not hit Bakugo. Distracted by Nejire, Shigaraki is then stabbed by two scorpion tails as we see Tamaki using his vast hybrid octopus mirage, which allowed him to turn invisible plus scorpion toxin, which allowed him to form the scorpion tail that stabbed Shigaraki to inject him with poisonous venom. Shigaraki did something unexpected here. His fingers form a mouth, spitting out all of the venom from his body. Shigaraki unleashes a massive amount of hands at the heroes that now have mouths on them. Shigaraki tells the heroes that his body continues to adapt and that nothing can bring him down. Nejire comes down, sending a Nejire wave to Mirio, combining both of their powers together with the waves enhancing and wrapping around Mirio's arm as Mirio says that he gets it, it's because Shigaraki has never had any friends. Shigaraki hears this and is surprised. Mirio continues to tell Shigaraki that if he did have friends, he wouldn't have realized that there's plenty of things he should not destroy. Switching over to Best Jeanist and Bakugo, as Jeanist was about to help treat Bakugo's wounds, Bakugo slowly rises as tears fall onto his hand. Jeanist notices Bakugo crying and asks for his arm again, and he tells Bakugo that he's done a great job and has fought enough in this fight. This moment shows that Best Jeanist had a reality check, as despite the current situation and going against world's most dangerous villain, that Bakugo is still a teenager who got thrown into fighting a war, and he really does care for Bakugo. Seeing Bakugo so locked in on the fight, Best Jeanist is shocked as Bakugo is still in the fight despite his current condition. Switching back to Shigaraki, the anime adds in Shigaraki and Mirio on the ground, as Mirio after hitting Shigaraki tells him that if he had friends he wouldn't be destroying everything. Shigaraki, in an almost childlike manner, he yells at Mirio saying that he does have friends, mentioning Mikkun and Tomo and how they thought of him. This outburst shocks Mirio and he feels bad for Shigaraki as he seemed to have touched a sensitive topic, but more importantly, he learned that he couldn't scratch Shigaraki at his core because it was way too strong. Tenko was the reason his body refused to decay the ground at the start of the war. He makes his way towards Bakugo and Mirio tries to distract him. Shigaraki tells the heroes that they built a tomb for themselves, to lie in, as the coffin in the sky was meant for Shigaraki, but he's completely overpowering them all. Shigaraki's hands head straight towards Nejire as she has a flashback to her life before meeting Mirio and Tamaki. The anime here adds an entire scene of her in middle school being curious about her classmates' quirks. The students felt that since she had a powerful quirk, she was looking down on the rest of them, and we then jump ahead in time to her at UA. In the manga, when she gets called out by someone about her looking down on the rest of them, it was over a blacked out panel. So this added scene is such a great addition that provides context so as to why she is so emotionless when starting at UA. Nejire states that whenever she got curious and wanted to know more about others, she ended up driving them away. A shy Tamaki asks Nejire which hero she was a fan of, and the anime adds in Nejire getting emotional as someone was actually curious and wanted to know more about her. She excitedly gets up to Tamaki and asks him a series of questions. It's because of Tamaki asking her that simple question she got to learn all about both Tamaki and Mirio, and finally becoming her true self again. Nejire knew Tamaki's vast hybrid strength takes time for it to power up, as we see Tamaki has combined everything he has eaten plus Nejire's energy into a vast hybrid plasma cannon. Since the more he eats, the more his potential grows. Mirio states that Tamaki's quirk has no limit, so he is the only one that could land a meaningful hit on Shigaraki. Tamaki charges up his plasma cannon and realizes that if he fails, everyone will die and it will be all over, as he thinks about Fat Gum, Kirishima, Tetsu and Mirio back when they were in middle school. Tamaki thanks everyone as he's about to shoot Shigaraki. Shigaraki turns out to Tamaki and sends a wave of hands towards him as Tamaki fires off his plasma cannon, destroying Shigaraki's hands and engulfing Shigaraki in the beam. And damn, the animation was so clean, they didn't even have to go this hard for this cannon. Shigaraki sends out more hands to reach Tamaki, but Mirio punches Shigaraki in the face. The anime adds in the heroes catching their breaths, but Shigaraki sends out more arms from behind the smoke, attacking the heroes once again coming out of the smoke. Bakugo finally takes a stand and begins walking towards Shigaraki, telling Bastionist to look after the others. And damn, this shot was actually so detailed and cool to look at. Just him walking. I've watched this scene more than 10 times by now. Shigaraki stares at Bakugo and Bakugo says that he has to win, talking to Izuku. This one made it so emotional. It really felt like Bakugo had an awakening and was heading towards something big. Bastionist tries to stop Bakugo, but Bakugo instantly blasts straight towards Shigaraki, unleashing an explosion in his face. Analyzing Shigaraki's moves from earlier, he predicts his attack and dodges it, shocking everyone there. Shigaraki goes in for another attack, but Bakugo is already behind him. In the narration, Present Mike says in a very calm and sad tone that Bakugo's quirk allows his sweat glands to produce a nitroglycerin-like liquid that he can detonate on command, but the cluster move he invented had a side effect that he didn't even know about. The act of storing up sweat and releasing it into launchable beads was extremely hard on his sweat glands. With Bakugo focused on winning, he kept storing the balls of sweat to the point that they were forced to find other exits and leaked out of his entire body, and in turn the explosions all around his body, which gave him more speed during the narration. The anime added shots of Bakugo's hand showing the balls of sweat leaking out of his hand. From the back, Bakugo thinks to himself that his whole body hurts, and he thinks about Deku and how he battled through the pain fighting while trying to analyze the enemy, and he asks Deku if he could still catch up to him. Damn, this shot of Bakugo was so iconic and the anime did it justice, and I felt so emotional at this point. Shigaraki gets flustered by him. The all-for-one side of Shigaraki thinks about the second user of One For All and begins panicking. Now, when Shigaraki thinks of the second user of One For All in the manga, he only sees a blurry version of the second in his head, whereas the anime changes this to a full-on memory to the day All For One actually beat the second user of One For All. Shigaraki attacks Bakugo and he says that he will destroy him. Bakugo is then seen in a sort of vestige quirk afterlife, where he is confronted by the vestige of All Might. The reason why he sees the vestige of All Might instead of an actual physical representation of him is not only because he is connected to All Might in the way of being inspired by him, but because Bakugo at one point was a temporary user of One For All as well. While he is in this state, Bakugo sees All Might's vestige and talks about how when he first met he was kind of a brat and wasn't that well mannered and open with others, and never got the chance to ask All Might to give him an autograph on his rare All Might trading card. The anime added in a shot where Bakugo looks up to All Might before his heart explodes as Shigaraki punches Bakugo in the chest. All the heroes joined together to try and stop Shigaraki and save Bakugo, but it was too late. Upon impact, everyone is blown away with Bakugo's body being sent flying past Bastionist, landing on the ground as his All Might trading card lands beside him. It begins raining as we hear a weather report discussing the sudden change in the weather due to drastic rise in temperature disrupting the weather patterns. Bakugo's mom sees the weather report and states that Bakugo hates the rain. Shigaraki talks down on Bakugo, stating that he really thought he could win. Best Genius runs to Bakugo to try and save him, but he realizes that his heart is destroyed. Monoma and Aizawa are in complete shock. It rains even harder as the episode ends with Bakugo lying on the ground, dead. And oh my god, how in the world did Studio Bones make this scene even more brutal than the manga? This looks way better than the manga or any fan art which I have seen till now. The faded pale skin color and the background and the silence, it is just heartbreaking. Bakugo really went plus ultra this episode, and I can't lie, I really thought he could have done some major damage to Shigaraki after waking up, but his death was very unexpected. I'm very shocked and this was painful to watch. He was just a boy. He had an idol who he looked up to, and look where we are now. Deku is going to get really mad at Shigaraki this time, and it will be painful again to watch his reaction. This episode covered a total of 3.5 chapters, the rest of chapter 359 from the last episode, and chapters 360, 361 and 362. This was a wild episode filled with emotions, fantastic animation and the death of Bakugo. Overall, this episode was absolutely amazing, and I'm definitely giving this a 10 on 10. This was definitely the best episode of the season, and I personally rank it higher than the Dabi vs Shoto episode. The next few episodes are going to be really crazy as well. I can't wait to see the next one. Please let me know your thoughts on this episode. Did they cook? Of course they did. Let me know everything in the comment section below, and it will be really great if you leave a like on this video. That would make my day. Anyways guys, I will see you soon with the next episode, which drops 2 weeks later. Thank you so much for sticking till the end, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.